Hey everyone, it is Janene and I'm just seeing if I can set this up, hopefully as I come around, check this all out, see how we are doing. Did I zoom in? I figured I could zoom in. I learned how to do that. Okay. All right, there we are. I see some people are starting to pop on now. Thank you for joining. I don't know about you guys, but do you always get nervous when I go live? Is it always one of those like, oh, what's she gonna do now? And is she gonna mess this up, or is it gonna go smoothly? Because I'm always wondering. And now I just want to zoom in a little bit more, I think, so this way you guys hopefully don't have to see my stomach as it sticks over. Okay, so we're gonna just move that back just a little smidge. Okay. So if you're there, definitely pop in some comments. Let me know if you can hear me this time, that all is going smoothly. Hello, Lucy. How are you? Yvonne, Sharon. Oh, poor Sharon. Everybody, Sharon Giles is like a godsend. She is one of my magnificent helpers, moderators, and she's in Australia. So right now it is 1 a.m. for her. So God bless you, Sharon. Thank you for joining us. And thank you, everybody else, for joining. Hey, Joey. Okay, good. So you hear me, you see me, everything looks seemingly okay. It's in the right direction. It's close enough. If I turn that a little bit, am I going to be a little straighter? I don't know. We always have to wait and see how we do on these things. Okay, so this is the Botanical Buzz album class, I should say. Hello, hello. Okay, good. So some of you are watching this live. For others of you, you will be watching a replay of this. So I certainly encourage everybody to pause as they go. You know, if you're following up, you know, I will go a little bit quicker than you might be able to do at home. So there's certainly nothing wrong with pausing as you go. This is an amazing kit, amazing collection from Dennis Bruton. Botanical Buzz, one of my absolute favorites. I love the elements, the colors, and everything about it. So we are going to be using our album here. Did I call this the Sunshine album? What did we call it? Sunny. We called it Sunny. This is the Sunny album. The reason we didn't actually tie it to the Botanical Buzz collection is because this particular album cover can also go with Nature's Haven as well as Beach Vibes. So you can certainly reuse this in different ways. But so that's why it wasn't mixed with the Botanical Buzz as it's labeled for the binder itself. So without further ado, I'm going to kind of get underway. Trisha, thank you so much. I always love to bring you guys my projects, even if I do get a little nervous at the start. So remind me to slow down if I need to. I'll try to tell myself there is no time limit here, so it's totally fine. The plan today is that we will go through, cover our pages, work in the layers of our ephemera stackers, and then I'll probably give you a thorough walkthrough of the different embellishments with the laser cuts and the puffy stickers. Because I think sometimes, you know, obviously if you're doing this, you might not have your photos in place, so it's sometimes hard to get all those elements right where you need them when you don't know what your photo subject is going to be, so it allows you a little bit of a difference. So how are we getting started? I am going to take out all of the pages that come in the binder, okay? And I'm just gonna kind of put this off to the side so it's out of the way. You'll see here you have your flips, you have your pockets, you have your single pages, you have some page protectors, which are an assortment, as well as the two sticker sheets. So these are two sticker sheets that have reinforcements that you can certainly go ahead and put on those holes. So I'm not going to kind of walk through doing that. That's one of those you can do in advance, you can do after. Doesn't really make a difference. I will say sometimes, you know, if you're going to be flipping those pages a lot, you might want to give it a little additional glue. Sometimes I don't know if the adhesive backing on those is as strong as it should be. You also have in there some file tabs. So some of these file tabs will be used throughout the album, and we will pull them as we need. So these are two sticker sheets that come in your album, in which we'll be using those little pieces as we go. So that is just to kind of tell you what's all going on here. We also need our 6x8 collection pad, and I see Maddie is loving the new inks. I am with you all the way, Maddie. These inks are gorgeous. I will say that for this project, I didn't really do anything too fancy with the inks. I did do the usual inking around the edges. Maybe we'll just experiment for a minute or two at some point. We'll see how things go. But so I had pulled for this project the Salted Caramel and the Rainforest. If you don't have our inks yet, certainly you can pull something out of your personal supplies. I do say Rainforest is my absolute favorite with this collection, and we'll show you some of the inking on the edges so you can see just how perfect it is. Salted Caramel, a gorgeous shade of brown, which is perfect for that whole vintage vibe. So I will be using these today because why not, right? We have our new inks. We're super excited about them. So we are good to go. So again, I'm going to kind of break down the album by putting together the bases along with our ephemera stackers, and then we'll kind of build from there. So I won't be following the directions the exact way in which they were written. If anybody has ever written directions before, it's not always easy when there's 1,001 steps to try to keep it somewhat condensed and yet somewhat manageable. So sometimes I write the directions in a different format than I actually teach it. So I'm just kind of pointing that out and referencing that to you. And I'm also realizing that I do need this binder back because we'll begin by creating the inside cover. So also what I typically do when I work on a binder or an album cover like this is I kind of work my way from the inside, finish it completely, and then I'll go to the cover. And the reason I don't start with the cover is then obviously if I'm working here, you know, if I've built up some bulk on that cover, I don't want to kind of keep messing it or jamming it up, you know, on my surface. So I basically save that for the last part. So I just want to mention that. So we are going to begin by building the inside front cover. And for this, you're going to be taking 2 of that wood grain paper. Easy enough. They happen to be on the back side of the collection pack, so they're a little bit easy to find, which we always like it when things are easy to find, because I think sometimes teaching, I find that the hardest part is finding the pieces. So we're going to get underway. Are any of you actually joining me in making this? I hope so. I hope that you are following along. I did note, of course I had a typo in my directions. Why wouldn't I? You'll see here, and we'll go ahead and build it. I used a 6x4 photo. Again, these are simply recommendations on sizes. You can measure it down. You can go up. You know, it's kind of whatever works for your photos. So I did use a 6x4 here, although in the written directions I wrote 3.5 by 5. So I am not sure why I did that, but neither here nor there. At least it does have it in the large directions. So we are going to take those 2 wood grain papers. On the second sheet, we're going to cut it to a 2-inch by 8-inch. See, and again with my directions. Oh boy, I'm going to have to update these directions. It's a 2 by 8. The idea being is that we are creating this square because our cover is larger. So I am going to make note of these edits so I can hurry up and get them to you guys. If anybody, I kind of messed up that whole first part, but if there is any other edits, certainly let me know as we go. So idea being behind this is we're going to pair up those 2 pieces. I do put this off to the side. If you do want to trim a piece for your spine, I had made on my sample a 2.5-inch wide, and I just flipped it to that, and it's kind of nowhere really in the directions, but we did have this extra piece of paper. I figured why not, waste not, want not. So to show you how gorgeous the Rainforest ink is on this paper, I'm just going to easily, I mean, obviously this is my go-to move. Who doesn't love inking the edges of their paper to just give it that extra detail and that extra finessing? But how gorgeous is this color with this collection? So I don't bother in the middle. We are going to cover up that seam, so I'm not really too concerned about it, but no need to ink. I'm just doing the outer edges, and this way we will see that. So I'm going to position on my inside cover so that we kind of have that even border going around. Okay, am I even? Am I kind of even? I think I'm even. I did actually put my glasses on. You guys can't see it this time, but instead of complaining about needing glasses, I actually did wear them. So hopefully that will make things a little easier for us. Okay, so again, just adding those two pieces, so this way it kind of just gives a little bit of a larger format for the inside cover, so it gives me a larger surface area to work here. Again, we're going to use a 4x6 photo. I might as well ink my edges just because why not? We are going to be pulling pieces from our ephemera stackers. So off to the side, I've kind of separated mine a little bit just so this way I could take the larger pieces together and then the tickets and the tags, just so I could make it a little bit easier to find my pieces. I know you really can't see that off to the side. Not imperative, but it does help when we are trying to pull some of those pieces. So which ones are we looking for right now? This is the good questions to ask. Okay, we have kind of a book plate. This is one of the text weight pieces. If I had a guess in measurements, what am I going to say? This is about 4 3/4 by 5 3/4. So we have that text weight piece of paper. As well, we have this yellow text weight paper that's a little bit larger, it's a little longer. So we're going to kind of be layering those pieces. We need our, the small version of this one, which is the DP Gherkin. So you'll see there's two sizes, one's a card weight, one's text. We're going to be taking that card weight stop on the smaller tag. As well, we're going to pull out a large label and a tan ticket that has, I'm matching this up against my sizes because it's always fun when you try to explain what sizes. So this is the smaller tan tag that has the 3499 with the R. It's the smaller one. So those are the pieces that we are going to be pulling for our inside cover. And I love ephemera, love layering things, so that is what this album is all about. So hopefully you guys are enjoying with that. I'm refreshing my screen to just see if you guys have stopped commenting or if I'm missing anything. Okay, no, you're all just busy, I guess. You're just busy working away. Okay, so with these pieces, again, we have space between our binder mechanism and that inside cover. So this is one of those great opportunities in which we can really play with dimension and layer some pieces. So here I'm not concerned about building depth. I'm going to use that to my advantage. And what I'm going to do is maybe make some of your heads spin. I'm going to take these 2 weight layers and I am crumbling them. I love this. You know, it just gives it that whole distressed look. You know, you can take your brown ink. Again, I'm using that salted caramel on these, but you can certainly use whatever you might have on hand. So I'm going to ink up those edges. I'm just going to kind of work that off the side. I'm going to kind of just gently pick up some of the little crinkles that I've got going on. Again, just weathering it up. I think adding a little bit of a beautiful brown ink to this particular layer is going to help it blend. Sometimes, you know, papers can be a little more gray or a little bit more brown or whatever it is. So this kind of just helps blend all of those bits and pieces together. So again, just kind of distressing it. You can take your distress tool. I like to sometimes curl up those edges, make sure I wrinkle them. Kind of just giving it a good little weathering. Yes, so this is the Salted Caramel and the Rainforest 49 and Market Ranger inks. Love it. See how easy just to make that all blend seamlessly. So I've done those 2 layers. I've done my photo and I might as well add a little bit to our other bits and pieces so that they all blend seamlessly over here, okay? And I'm really only worried about the top half on that. I don't worry about the bottom. You could certainly trim this in half if you wanted to save that bottom part so that you're not wasting it. All right, so how do we compile all of this so that it makes sense? I am going to take my tape runner. Here's what I like to do. I'm going to first do this yellow piece. Because I want to keep this crinkled effect, and I don't know if there's a better way to do this, but I almost like take my tape runner and just like kind of position it so that it's going to purposefully you know, layer in a way that those wrinkles are going to stay. The idea behind that is that we want it to look weathered, and I'm no real specific measurement. I obviously am making sure I cover up majority of that seam. We'll worry about covering it more so with our laser cuts later. So I'm just taking those 2 large pieces of the text weight that we've crinkled and kind of just kind of layering them up a little bit over here. You can always go back and add more glue, adhesive if you want, if you know you have bits and pieces. I am a big fan, and for anybody if this is your first time watching me, I don't worry about inking edge to edge. I'm sorry, not inking. I don't worry about adhering edge to edge because I never know what I'm going to want to stick under later. So I usually kind of do the less is more. I put my adhesive in the middle of something. So if I want to stick pieces in later, I can do so. You can always go back and add more adhesive. It's just way harder to take it back than it is to add more. Also, just to further kind of weather this up a little bit, be careful, do not slice your hand off. Do not blame me if you cut yourself. You could take a craft knife, you could take a sanding tool, you could take your distressor, whatever it is that you have. But if you want to kind of just, you know, make this all look nice and worn and torn and all that kind of good stuff. So you can add little layers in there if you want. And again, I don't worry myself too much with the adhesive because I know I can always add more. So I'm just going to kind of position this. I will put some foam on my photo. It'd be great if I had chipboard backing. I think I do. This one is probably a little thick. I always have some extra cardstock or a box, or not cardstock, a box, cardboard or something along those lines, so that if you do have a larger piece like this that you want to map behind, obviously you could use foam tape as well. So I'm just going to kind of put this on. Again, mine's a little bit thick here, but whatever, we've got space. So this way I can position it and play with now my little layers as I go. I did not adhere this just yet. I kind of just positioned it, and I'm just tucking and playing and layering and taking my nails, pushing those all in. We could also, maybe I'll put a little layer of foam over here on my label. So I think this is one of those projects that'd be great if you have rub-ons or if you have beautiful handwriting. You can go back, plenty of spaces to really make this your own and create a special memorabilia with different titles and different sentiments. So you can certainly do that. So again, just kind of layering this all like so. Easy, right? Easy. Desiree is telling us that this is gorgeous. Thank you, Desiree. I absolutely love it. I do always kind of joke. I feel like everyone's like, oh, everything, you know, your projects are so pretty. It's like, well, yeah, they're pretty because we're using pretty products. I am very fortunate that I don't get stuck having to work with something that doesn't begin beautiful. So if it begins beautiful, I feel that I just am lucky that it makes me look better, I suppose, than I necessarily am, because it's hard to mess up beautiful things, right? All right, so I'm just gonna put this in the middle here just because it's already out, trying to line that up height-wise with my other pieces. Just figured why not put something in there. Obviously you could use the other side if you want. So that's just a quick little look at the inside front cover. Again, we'll worry about covering up that seam later when we go and do our details. So now I will officially put this off to the side so that we can start working on our inner pages from the album. So I took all these out. I'm gonna kind of leave them off to the side, hoping that I don't create too much of a mess, which we know is gonna happen. But anyway, totally fine. So, okay. So we continue to work on this. For my first page, I don't know why, I always seem to go with one of these little pages as the first page. I'm gonna take, this is like that, what, 4 1/4 or 4 3/4 by 6 1/4 flip page. I am just going to trim this at that halfway line, like just on the inside. It kind of is just over 4.5 inches, but I'm basically just trimming where that score line is, and I'm just creating a single flat cover. You can use this for one of your photo mats or put it off to the side for now. We don't do anything miraculous with that, so you can certainly do that. Again, I'm not going to probably worry about putting these on every step of the way, but just to show you how easy it is to add those. I don't know why I'm obsessed with reinforcements. There's like all these things that I just have my little quirks with. I think it can't ever hurt when you're working on a binder to kind of give it that extra something, protection. So I'm just going to put those on both sides. So for this page, this little tiny page, we are looking for our ephemera piece. That is, oh, I really didn't put these in any order. I can assure you of that. This is like that tag. This is what? Just shy of 4 by 6 kind of, and that works out perfect size on that tag. Okay, and this we were going to use with one of our 3.5 by 5.5 inch photos, as well as our little Love 101 tag and one of our stickers from the reinforcement sheet. Okay, so again, if you choose to ink, feel free to do so. Make sure that I mean, I like to keep things consistent. Obviously, that's a personal thing that you may or may not want to do, but you can crinkle, you can distress with your tool, you can ink. You can also, I think it's kind of fun to actually ink the edge of the page here, so that's something else that you can do. I just went with my salty caramel, because this way it's going to pick up all those browns, and I'll just do it on the other side while I'm here. Very easy. Okay, photo. I was like, do I do my edges before? Do I do it after? I figured, whatever, it's fine. You guys are hopefully finding pieces, so you don't mind me doing my edges. Okay, and again, you can kind of crinkle those edges and make them nice and torn and tattered. So here on the front of this, meaning the reinforcements are on the left-hand side, I'm just going to position it so that I get a nice kind of border all around. I'll put my photo. Now here on the inside pages, I will say I try not to do too much dimension, because we have a lot of pages that are going to be going on, as well as we'll have those puffy stickers. I am going to bring this down just a little bit, since we will be putting our other bits up top. And I'm noting, because of course, why wouldn't I do this? We're going to take a minute while we have these pieces out in front of us. I don't want to get all our laser cuts all over the place right now, but throughout this album, we did take advantage of our packaging, because why wouldn't we take advantage of what we have given you? In your packaging, Dennis, always being creative and wonderful, has given us a whole sheet of lovely little tags that are obviously easy to cut out. And I believe, if memory serves me correct, we're going to use about 6 of these for this album. So my suggestion is, if we take 6 of them, I don't know that it in particular really matters, but I'll take the top. I will tell you, I know we use this for one of them, just because I remember pulling out that beautiful butterfly, probably this one. For the first few we can use any of these florals up here. So I'm just going to take them with my trimmer. I find that if I, make my cut lines on the basic lines, it works out very easy. I don't have to fussy cut it. I'm just, maybe I'll just do this on here so you can actually see what I'm doing, if you like. Just lining that up, trimming off those little bits as I go, so that it's easy to get that. But this is a great ad for your supplies, because this is just extra, right? Part of our packaging, no extra charge, just trying to give you extra value for what you have already purchased. So, not too particular on my lines. If you get it a little over or a little under, it's okay. You can either cover it up with your inks, or you can obviously always go back with a scissor and trim anything that you might have missed. Okay, so let's see. All right, how's everybody doing? Everybody following along, or have I already confused everybody? So I'm just going to take those pieces like that. Again, this is the inside packaging from our laser cuts, so we just remove that sheet. You can certainly save these for later in case we need more, in case you want to add more as you go. You're certainly welcome to do so. The other thing is, and I don't know that I put it, but if you have some jute, you can obviously also punch these holes out with a hole punch or a crocodile or whatever you might have. And you can add some twine or some jute to your project for a little extra authenticity. Any kind of string or ribbon will do. I don't know if you guys saw, but Juliana Michaels, who had done one of the samples using the new range rings, she did the most gorgeous coloring on her seam binding using the inks and some seam binding just so it matched perfectly. You could certainly do that, or any regular twine or whatnot that you might have on hand will work. So easy to find something. I didn't have anything out on my table here, but we'll see what I might have within arm's reach as I go. So again, right now I have eight of these tags in front of me. I'll worry about inking one at a time. Some of them, oh, I'm actually confusing my projects. I didn't use this tag for this project. It was a different project. Hey Sam, Sam's joining us, thank you. Popping up. Does anybody have any questions so far? Because I'm already confusing myself. I've done too many projects using this gorgeous collection. So now I'm going, oh, did I do this or did I do that? So again, just trimmed up a few, you know, for this one. I'm not going to worry myself about any of the ones that are too ornate, even though they're all gorgeous. So it doesn't really make a difference. I will take that little small hole on my crocodile and I will punch in that center so that I can prepare that. Any questions? Any questions? Again, giving myself that misgiving of any offcuts or whatnot. Just inking those edges always makes it a nice little finish for your project. So those are the pieces that we're working on. I'm going to see, do I have some twine? I do. This is just a natural one. It doesn't matter if you don't have anything on hand. You can just certainly leave it if you want, or you can do your little tie to officially make it. Okay, we're busy working. Okay, Maddie, thank you. I'm glad everybody's working away. I know it's hard. I get to talk to myself. You guys get to listen, and then I sit there going, am I making sense? Do they like what they see? Do they hear? Do they not? You can do two different things because we're going to put one on the back side. If you wanted to have it sticking out, you can do so, and then you can cover the back side with another one, or you can just dip it down. For right now, I think I'm just going to dip it down kind of like so. It's a little off skew here, and then I will put my tag here. And again, it's just all about layering. I am all for layers, layers, layers. I'll ink up the edges. I don't worry about putting that label on the back side because I'm not going to see it. I'm just going to put that over my photo. And maybe, that's why I'm glad I used liquid glue. I think I'm going to pull this out a bit and maybe go a little bit further under here. So this way we can see that design. All right. So kind of easy. This is where like we're just getting all those bases and layers done. I think the oohs and the ahs come later when we do the laser cuts, and we might just give you the walkthrough on it. But obviously that's going to be the details that are going to hammer home how beautiful this project is. So on the back side of that, really easy, we are looking for a yellow ephemera piece that is, which one? This one with the two tags over here. So we're going to be doing that with another 3.5 inch by 5 inch photo, as well as another file tab sticker. So just kind of get that ready. Look at where my positioning is. Okay, ink up those edges, and easy to layer these up. I just don't want that to kind of get stuck. Oh, I love this brown. I love it. I love it. It is just that warm goldeny. I think it's gonna be great, great, great for autumn, but it's great for everything else too. Okay. Where's that label? Marianne, the label came from the sticker sheet. These were in the album, so in the pages of your album, there are 2 sticker sheets. That's what this is. It's hard to see, perhaps, the die cut lines, but it's there are 2 sheets that are the same, so you'll find that label there. Okay, and again, distress these papers as much or as little as you like. Totally up to you. We are going to layer up. I try to kind of keep this a little bit even around my edging. I will put that in the middle. And then we'll put this up here along with one of those other tags. I don't know why. It really doesn't matter which tag we use, but I get silly sometimes with which ones. I'm like, ooh, do I want to use this one? Do I want to use that one? I feel like I'm going to waste it. There's so many beautiful tags, though, it's not wasting anything. You have extras of all. So I've just popped that little hole in with the crocodile. A little string. Okay. And you can obviously always cut your little tails off. So I will stick that over here and then kind of whoop, like so. I don't know why, but somehow I have like this issue. I try not to have too many edges that are raw. I always like to like kind of cover one edge with another, and that's why I moved the position a little bit so that you didn't see the extra seam there. So I don't know if that's just me being crazy or if again it comes down to details, and details are what matters. So we want to mention these things to you, and I don't know why that's not sticking down. Okay, so easy peasy. So what I'm going to be doing as I do these pages, and I'm just, again, this is going to be off camera per se, but I just wind up going and stacking them like that. So this way I'll have my order of pages that we can go back to later. Okay, so for the next page, we're actually not using a page from the album. We're going to create our own page. And to do that, we are going to use the base of this big one, All for the Love of Gold. I will ink up those edges. Love how that looks with that craft color. This is just the perfect size to create its own page. So I will use this as my base. And for the back side, we are going to take one of our sheets of paper. This has the tickets on the small patterned floral. So I'm looking for that. It's also kind of towards the back. I'm going to pull one of those sheets out from the back. So for me, the easiest way to do this is I'm going to put adhesive along the back side here on the edges for one, because I'm going to use this as my guide for this page. The height of it works perfect, and I'm just like tapping it along the bottom here so that I, top to bottom, edge on the inner edge, it's all sealed. So you'll note obviously that it has that extenuating piece over here. So just really easy because they were the same height pieces. This way it covers it. I'll take my craft knife and I will trim around the edging of the die cut on my craft mat. You do have to push a little hard because our 49 market paper is thick. So I'm going to kind of do that. You can note that it's a little, like I didn't cut all the way. So I can go back this side, or I can go back and do it again. Okay. Pushing a little bit harder. You can also use that sanding tool. So if it's not like, perfect, you have a little bit of raw edges over here, you can certainly go and kind of mesh those into one another, okay? You can do that all the way around if you like. We can also go and do our inking. So basically now we have our front and back page. If you have the Tim Holtz Distress tool, or not Distress tool, Tim Holtz 2-punch hole puncher from I don't even know how many years ago. I am so grateful that this has made its way through all my different moves and I still have it, as this is the correct size for these binders. This is the only one to my knowledge that is out there, and this is something I don't think that they make anymore. If you're using a 2-punch hole punch, it needs to be the 80 millimeter width. Ours that we made, sadly, is not. It is 70 millimeters, so it won't work. So odds are you probably don't have this. So if you don't have it, I won't cheat and drive you crazy. I'm just going to take one of my other pages. As you'll note, they are a little bit larger than this. This is an 8-inch, so I have to kind of position it like so that it's in the middle. I'm going to kind of just mark this out with a little hole in the middle. So this way I know where to punch. I'll take that crocodile with my larger hole and punch and hope for the best, right? Ooh, let's not do that on glass. Ah, I'm stuck in the middle and I can't see it. Oh, come on. It's like the piece just doesn't want to do it. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm just doing that. So I have my 2 hole punches. I can obviously line it up, make sure I got it. My hole punch was a little bit smaller in diameter. So you can obviously, depending on what you have in your toolbox, it will depend on the hole that you have. You can then go back and put those reinforcements on. Okay. The tab from the sticker sheet inside the album. Yes, okay. I don't know why I'm reading some of the comments. I think Sharon's got it covered, but if we have any more questions, certainly please pop them in if anything is unclear. I know Sharon is totally on it for me. Okay, so for the front of this page, we'll take, again, a 3.5 by 5. And now, the reason I decided 3.5 by 5, not that your photos need to be 3.5 by 5, I just think I know a lot of people love their 4 by 6s. Obviously, they're easy to print. They're easy to get from the store. I find whenever I have a 4 by 6, sometimes it's just too big, and inevitably there's like so much extra space. So the 3.5 by 5 for a mini album kind of allows you to use those 4 by 6s, but just trimming them down a little, and then it gives you a little bit more space on, or surface space to see on your smaller pages. So that is the reason why I chose this 3.5 by 5. Doesn't mean that you have to. You can certainly do 4 by 6s. You can do kind of whatever you want. So I'm just pulling the extra pieces that I have here. Looking for, yes, okay. This is the like 3 by 5.5 inch library card. Again, we're only going to wind up seeing like this outer portion. If you want to trim out this bottom right hand corner, certainly feel free to do so. I'm not going to, because then I don't want to confuse myself if somebody didn't watch this video and they did directions or whatnot. So I'm going to stick to what I did in the book, but you can certainly do that and save that for an extra piece another time. Okay, so again, just doing that. I didn't cut so well on this, so I'll use that ink to fake my cuts. Okay, and we go. All right. Alrighty. Boom. Making sure I'm not missing anything, although it seems Sharon is on it. So I don't really need to worry, do I? All right. So again, just worrying about those outer edges, since that's what's going to show. So I'm going to add a little glue. Oops, let's put those off to the side. I'm gonna kind of do something along those lines. Put the glue in the middle. So again, this way I can tuck my pieces under. And I like doing my little over and under so that you have the different heights of your pieces. I'm gonna kind of stick that there so that we see a little of that yellow up top. And we will again take one of our file tabs from the sticker sheet. I always like putting the little white label on just because it reminds me that I should go back and add some journaling or a rub-on or something to it. So we'll put that down a little bit here. Oh, I'm look a little sideways. All right, easy peasy, right? Easy, easy, easy. How's everybody doing? All right, so that is the look of our front of the page. And then on the back of the page, we will do a 4x6. And the reason I went with the 4x6 here is because obviously you have a lot of pattern going on here. Figured this is an opportunity that we could certainly take advantage of a larger photo. So I did opt for a 4x6. Again, totally up to you in terms of what size photos. You could also do 2 3x4s. That can always work. You do want to obviously make sure you're paying attention to where your holes are. That way you're not covering them. I could do my little reinforcements so that I see it a little bit better here. And again, my hole punch was a little bit small on the hole. That's all right. So for this one, we'll embellish later, but basically that was just a look at the back of that. So that is our second page that I will drop into the album. And then for our third page, making sure my holes are okay, we're going to take one of the single sheets. So you'll note here, you have 8 single sheets, you have 2 pocket pages, and then you have the other half flippy one, and then some page protectors. So this is one of the flat front pages that we will work off of for our first official page, I'll call it, even though it's really the third page. So for this page, we are looking for the first page, or the first paper in that pack. So this has those large, beautiful florals on the bottom left corner, and then it's got the blue background. So of course, I am taking advantage of that blue edging, and I am going to make it pop with this rainforest. I just love it, I love it, I love it. You could also use the Arctic, not the Arctic, I'm sorry, Summer Sky. Summer Sky is also another beautiful color I've seen people use. You could do green jean, you could do the yellow, you can certainly do a bunch of different colors. I just can't get enough of rainforest for this background. So for this, we're going to be making a cluster using this little, I shouldn't say little, I think this was like the medium size, my DP Gherking, another tag, one of these pages, and a 3x4 inch photo. So maybe if I do it this way, I'll show you just so you have see the pieces. I'm just going to put the photo there. And then I'm also looking for a yellow small tag. This is the cardstock, so those are the pieces. Just do it like that. You can see that, right? Am I on the camera? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think this is pretty good in terms of having the glass mat, right? So we have our sizing, and this way I know what you're seeing. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do, and this was like, I just had a good time with this. I know some of you might not want to do this, and that's totally fine. I will leave it up to you. I thought for this particular collection of paper, these florals are absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. I love them. I almost wanted to make them come to life a little bit. So what did I want to do? I guess maybe it's, I'm like, do I start with layering them? You're going to wind up having your cluster up here, right? Which I guess I could put that together, but I'll wait for a minute. But basically your pieces are going to go up here. So you're going to see all these beautiful florals. Well, you could do one of two things, or one of three things. One, you can do nothing. You can just leave the beautiful paper as it is, and that's fine. Or you can trim back some of the petals. And now there's kind of 2 ways to do this. So I'm going to show you both. I'm working on a glass mat. I can push all the way down really hard if I want, and that will make it so that I am going to completely peel back that layer here. So when you see it on the page, you will see the backing from the paper, and that's totally fine, right? Like, this is more than fine. I think it works. You can also slightly ink up the edge so that, like, when it's in your book, you'll wind up kind of getting a little play. You can curl, you could put little foam dots under it. So you're gonna kind of balance out. You don't have to do all the petals. It's not the goal, is not, well, you could do all the petals if you want. I will not be doing all the petals because we might be here till midnight if I do. I wind up doing like 2 or 3 to balance on maybe 2 or 3 of the flowers on the larger ones. I also like this other thing, which I didn't mean to do it on this for this moment, but I did. I didn't cut all the way through on this one. It kind of didn't just go. So again, very carefully, we don't want anybody slicing their fingers, but I didn't cut it all the way through, but I almost like how like the paper separates in layers and you can peel back. Oh, see, I went a little too far, but I'll show you maybe on the next one. All right, so this one, it did wind up peeling back. If you do like a halfway, let me try to make my point known. So again, I try to, like, which are the petals that look like they would be most lifted, right? So if I do this, okay, it didn't go through. I didn't push that hard. And then I kind of take my fingers and I'm peeling. So now you're still gonna see the white base of the paper, but it is different. So it almost just creates a different effect. It's a thinner layer. You can almost like twist it a little bit. You could do different things. So whether you want to cut all the way through or you don't, like you could do that, like, I mean, kind of fun, right? Like roll that up, ink it a little bit, you know, so it's just 2 different effects. And you could do a combination. You can kind of be like, oops, I went too far on this one, or oops, I didn't go enough on that one. You know, it's really up to you, but I just wanted to show you the differences in the 2. I personally like this. That's just what I like. The other thing that I found when I was doing this was it was almost easier. If you like the effect of the peeled back paper, I almost found it easier to have my paper on the mat because I'm not looking to go all the way through. But somehow almost having like a thicker paper here almost made this easier for me. I don't know if that's just me being weird, if that made any sense, if you guys will agree or disagree. This is definitely one of those things you could play with. Or you could say, you know what, that is just not worth it to me. I do not like that. I thought this was really cool. And just, again, these flowers, so pretty. And then to kind of manipulate them a little bit with the ink so that you're gonna have this nice little subtle effect of those florals coming off. So let me know, are we liking this? Are we thinking it's too much effort? Do we think the subtleties is what makes it all pop and make it so beautiful? Where are you guys at? I need a little feedback on this because I will say this is a technique that I did on several of the pages just because I personally thought it was so pretty. So I'm just kind of taking a petal here and a petal there, depending on how, if you did put your adhesive, you know, it may not peel up all the way. You'll have different layers. So again, waiting for some feedback on this because I don't know if you think I'm crazy and I've lost my marbles or if you think it's just brilliant and so fun to be able to do this. I can even do it here, but this might not peel as much because I probably had adhesive or maybe I didn't. All right, so I don't do all of them. I think that would lose the effect. I'm simply just doing a few as I go, and you can change them from the paper to paper. You can go deeper, you can go less. Like here, maybe I'll just do a little corner here, and that way it just turns. It is a subtle effect. I just thought it was pretty, and I liked it. So I'm gonna kind of leave mine as that, and I will show it to you a little bit closer so that you can see. All right. Janene says it's pretty, but I think it's a great option to share, but I'm thinking simple for me, and that's totally cool. So I think that is definitely something to note. It's whatever you guys want to do. So I will do this on a few of the pages. Again, if you like it, great. If you don't, you don't. I just think it's a nice, subtle little pop, and I don't know. I have fun doing it. So totally up to you. Okay? So then we'll continue to build those other layers around. It does give it a little bit of dimension, especially on the bottom half, because as you'll see, we are going to be layering our cluster kind of on the top right position. So it gives your eye something else to travel down the page to, just because it's, again, those beautiful, beautiful florals that I wanted to make come to life. Oh, absolutely. My attitude, by the way, just in case anybody isn't clear on this, you are making your project for you. I think you should, I'm a big fan of do what works best for you. I'm not insulted when I give classes in person and somebody does something different. It's your project. You should do what makes you happy. You should do what you like. So I give you little tips, tricks, or things that I've done. You may say, all right, that's just not for me, and I'm going to do something else, and that is more than fine. I am so not insulted. This is your project. You should make it as you see fit. I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm going to kind of layer that a little different. Okay. All right, so I'll put those pieces together, again with my tag. I did use a bunch of the tags. I somehow think I used most of the tags at the front of the book, and then for some reason kind of didn't follow them throughout. So again, add as many of them as you like, as few of them as you like. All about layers for me. I'm a fan of the layer, and I'm also getting glue all over the place. Okay, I'll have that come down a little bit. And then I'll put my tab, stress that up a little bit. Yes, options are good. Options are good. Take them, leave them. I'll worry about closing off those seams, but you can just get a sense of placement there. I kind of use that top portion for this. And again, allowing my flowers to fly free, waft in the wind, right? For the back side, and I'll have to see where this one is, okay. For the back side of this paper, it's gonna be kind of relative, it's behind the blue one is the next one, but it's more of a cream based with the florals along the bottom right-hand side. So that's what's gonna go on the back side here. So again, I will, this one you can even see like, almost like the petals are telling you they want you to pull them back just because of the way that they're layered here. So I'll kind of, and you don't have to do too many. You could do 1 a page, you could do 3 a page, you could do none a page, you could do whatever you like. And again, you just play with the different layers. Some you could do different ways than others. No right, no wrong, but just lifting a little bit here. And I will pull back all the way this one. And the reason I did that is because this is going to tuck under for my photo. So I take a 3.5 by 5 inch photo and allow the paper to pop out. Actually, I don't know, kind of backwards on that. Okay, so lightly just, I think when I show examples, it's always nice to just do a little coloring on the edges so that way you can see. So I'm gonna just pop that in there so it reveals that little floral popping out. And again, I don't worry about the glue back to back. It's more just about my placement for now. So I position that over there along with the smaller brown ticket that says Allison's Coupon. Allison's Coupon. So I'm gonna kind of just distress those edges. Wayne says, what about some floral laser cuts that are the same size that could be layered? Wayne, that would have been a great idea. And yes, I guess if it was designed that way, that would have been awesome. I don't think there are any florals that are the same, because then you also have the 6 by 8 and you have the 12 by 12, but yes, we could have done a combination. We'll pass that along to Dennis. You never know, the next collection. I do like that. We always like options and layers. So, yeah, that would be fun. Okay, and yes, we are going to be using laser cuts in this project, but none of those flowers will layer, well, I shouldn't say they won't layer. You could layer them up, but we're going to use them in a different way. Basically, we almost, if you follow my example, I think you pretty much use just about every single laser cut there is. You'll have a few extra puffy stickers, but not very many. So this was the back side of that, so I'm just going to quickly adhere that. Okay. Oop, I didn't ink my edges. All right, we'll just do a quick a quick little one on the top over here where it's a little bit lighter. Got so excited I forgot. Okay. Again, I'm leaving that even border on the top and outer edges in the bottom. So this is a look at page number 3, which is our first full page, the 6 1/4, 8 1/4 page. So we have the blue florals on the front and we have the cream on the back side. So then I am going to take that one and put it into my binder as that next page. And then we are going to take another single sheet. And there's really no rhyme or reason. You can obviously mix and match these papers in different layers if you want. Again, you can also ink up the outer edges of your base sheets. By all means, I will probably go back and do that later. For the next one, we're going to go again with the blue. No, this is not. See, it looks tricky. It's not the full blue up here. It is no, just kidding. Somewhere in the middle of the pack. It is the blue. You have the florals along the bottom, and then you have that journaling piece in the center of it. So we have that, okay? I think I just stuck my finger in that. Ink up the edges so I don't forget this time. Oh, a little mess there, but I either go with it or I can cover it up later with one of my bits, okay? So while we're pulling pieces of this one, again, I'll pull back a few of mine. That's up to you whether you want to or not. We're gonna have a 3.5 by 5 inch photo. And again, the reason I did that as opposed to a 4 by 6 was when you see that beautiful inside, I just wanted to play off of some of the elements so that it didn't cover it totally by doing that 4 by 6. So I am looking for the larger, this is a text weight ticket. The small label, or kind of almost, I think that's probably more like the medium one. Then we have it's almost like the brownish medium one. It's not the big, it's not the whatever. This is a postage, right? Those are the pieces. Yes. Oh, and I used one of these. Okay. So for this page, I'm going to adhere it onto my base, even though I have not done my flower pulling back business yet, which I will do. So I'm gonna make sure I move that so it's not in the way. Okay. Lay it down like so. I'll maybe make where my little bee is come to life, and this little guy. Again, just peeling my layers. Giving that tattered look. All right. Okay. Just a few. I don't know. Me, I think it matters, but I don't think it matters. I think it just looks nice. But again, not everybody's up to the task. I get it. Okay. So I'm going to do that. Give it that added dimension with a little bit of ink. I could even, if I really wanted to get crazy, without cutting it, this is a little watercolor paintbrush. If I kind of wanted to almost like fake some of those shadows, I could do something along those lines too, from some of the other petals without necessarily cutting it or rub in that blue. So just as a side note, plenty of things that we can do to give it a little bit of extra dimension or texture to it. So I'm gonna just put my adhesive right in the middle because I am gonna be tucking different pieces, but this way I know the placement of it. So I'm gonna kind of use that border around the little outside frame. This one, I figured, you know what? I wanted to kind of pop a little above and below. It's going to be easier if I do ink it first. I then take it and cut it in half the width, so this way I can kind of just use that little bit up top, and it's really about that pop of color, right? So it's kind of making it look so that those tickets come to life with all those little extra bits. You have the little, you can see it in the pattern of the paper. So I'm kind of just doing something along those lines, right? Top and bottom. And then this, you can go above, below. In my example, I think I went under. I'm gonna go right here on it. I won't, because then I don't see it. Maybe tuck that in a bit. I like to use wet glue on some of this stuff. Oh, nope, it is dry. That went quick. All right, we're not moving that. So what are we doing, Janene? Making a mess. That's what Janene's doing. What are you guys doing? All right. Am I hitting the camera, making you guys nauseous with my head? There we go. Doesn't matter. I can embrace my little rips, gives it that worn look. We can then go and put in our extra pieces. Okay, I'm just gonna tuck it. Again, playing with all my little bits and pieces. So really no rhyme, no reason, just layering, layering, layering. Okay, so that's a look at the fourth page, I guess we're on. And the back side of this one is similarly, but the cream version, right? So this is the cream version that has that pocket up at the top, so I'll kind of leave these like this, so in case you're catching up, you can do that. All right. This is again a 3.5 by 5.5, 3.5 by 5 inch photo. I took the other one of these. I'm going to tuck that up at the top, and that's pretty much it for our ephemera. So that's super easy. Which I'll kind of position it there. I didn't put anything here. You could also trim back the florals here if you wanted. I'm not going to on this one, but you could certainly do that as an option. Just trying to make sure that those two are even with one another. Okay, and again, if you want to trim some flowers, trim some flowers. You don't, you don't. Nope, that one I went a little too far, but that's fine. Everybody in summer mode. All these beautiful flowers just makes you want to go outside, unless you live in some oppressively hot area, which I'm in New York, and it's really kind of brutal out today. I have to say, the humidity here is absolutely not fun. Hopefully you guys are having nicer weather. Well, it's sunny. I shouldn't say it's not nice, but just hot. Peel, peel, peel. There we go. All right, so again, just taking a few of those, curling, almost like wrinkling them. Okay, and then I will add this. So this was the front side. This is going to be our back. I'm trying to get better with my tape runners and not use so much. Ooh, I keep doing it on this one. On a lighter color. I keep forgetting to ink my edges, but I do like it. I do like it with the brown. This shots of caramel. Okay. And I will position it. Okay. All right, so once again, front side. We'll go back and put reinforcements in later. This is the front side, and then this is the back side, okay? Oh, Florida has to be hot. Florida's probably brutal, but like you're saying, you have the ocean breeze. I hope that breeze works well for you and it's not too humid. I am looking for, of course I can't find, this is the 4-pocket panel page protector. I put that as my next page. I can't remember if I accounted for my little photo mats or not, so for now I'm just going to stick this in as kind of a page holder into my album, and then we can always go back and put those photos in, or the cardstock mats for that. So our next one is going to be a pocket page, and I was not frugal with my paper for this, and I'll tell you why. We're looking for, it's a back side, so there's like a bluish pattern. There's the 2 pockets. You could certainly cut a 4x6 piece of this. We're actually going to take 2 of those. We're going to use the top of one side for the pocket. Like I said, I didn't wind up cutting this because sometimes it just, I don't know, it's again personal preference. There is that lip, I don't know if you can see that in there. There is that lip from the pocket being adhered to the page. So sometimes I feel like depending on what you're sliding in and out, it kind of can get jammed up. Usually it's more so on the bottom than it is on the side. But for whatever reason, I just decided to go with the full page. But you could certainly, like I said, cut it at 4x6, and then it would hide, you could hide it below the page. So for me, I am again just going with the full page. But options, all about options. And is it just me? I'm like one of those people, I hate making decisions. I hate it. My biggest, worst thing in the entire world is what's for dinner. Oh my God, I don't know how my kids even eat because I'm always like, what do you guys want? I don't care, I don't know, and I don't care, and I don't know either. Enough with me ranting. Okay, so this is what happens when you talk to yourself. So I need you guys to put some comments in so that I have something to go off of. Otherwise, you're going to hear me go rambling and crazy. So for mine, and again, it doesn't make a difference which of those 2 pieces you really use, I went with a little B on the bottom or the top right corner. Okay. So just inking my edges. And then we'll put those into place. Leaving my border around. Always fun to have some pockets. You never know when you're going to want to stick extra photos, extra memorabilia, you know, whatever it is. So I'm a fan of a pocket always. I do think that inking the edges of these pages is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm just going to leave that as is, since it will be determined what your extra pieces are when you make your project. So now we're going to use a single flat piece. Okay, I'm going to take a sip of a drink because I feel like I'm a little parched. Oh, all that talking. Okay, so for these 2 pages, and we can do them one at a time, we can do them together. I'm going to take 2, definitely better if I ink these so that you can actually see them. We will grab the papers, but I'm going to take a total of, well, I'm taking 2 3x4s and 2 4x3s. So if you had photos, that was the orientation that I had chosen to do here. Obviously, again, you can alter any of these pieces so that it works for whatever your photos are. Okay, so I just like making these 2 a little, I want to say symmetrical. That's probably not the right because they're not the same, but they play off of each other in the 2 different directions. So again, just showing you, those are going to be the photos there. I'm pulling one of those, and I am pulling the small yellow. This is a text weight library card, the small one. And those are, and I'm also pulling this envelope. I just thought, oh, a little contrast there. It kind of mats up nicely onto that. So I will put that piece on that. That is the envelope, that small envelope. And kind of makes it pop a little bit more, and we're gonna put some paper down before we bother to put any of these pieces down. but just to show you which pieces you have. So that was that brown envelope, the small yellow library card, and one of these file folder tab pieces. We're also going to be pulling, oh, and I hope I didn't mess this up. I hope not. I'm like, what did we do? What did I do? Oh, how could I have done that? Oh, I did mess this up, but we're gonna make it work. That was the one. So this was our half pocket. Okay. We are adjusting, so I didn't realize that, and that should have been noted to myself. So this little guy, I'm not gonna mess it because yours are probably already adhered. So we were gonna go with 2 of these for our 2 bases, but now we don't have one. So if you're watching on replay and didn't just do what I just did, this bottom piece should have been off of the yellow. So I'm going to adjust. That's what we do. No harm, no foul, right? We're gonna just figure that out now. Okay, so those pages were very similar to one another, and I did not catch it. So you do not have 2 blue pieces left. You would only have 1 full and a half. So let's see what I can do to possibly make this not as noticeably different from the examples. But guess what? Nobody is reading your directions or looking at it the way that you would be looking at it with the directions. So when somebody sees your project, they won't know that I totally messed up and goofed up on you. So you can do 1 or 2 different things. We can do it with these yellow papers for the background, and I'll just kind of play this out for you so that you can see. We can obviously always add more ink and do some contrast going on there. The yellow is fine. I'll show you my finished project. Something along kind of these lines. So that is a look that we could do those yellow papers instead, or you could obviously do 1 and 1. It doesn't make a difference. I will just show you that these were the 2 finished pages on the blue. So you'll see that there is going to be a pop of the bright yellow that's going on with the honeycomb, as well as some of our other embellishments. So if you didn't follow through, and I'll probably, when I do the recording, we'll have somebody make a note that anybody watching the replay can pay attention and fast forward to this little mishap so that they don't have it, hopefully. But again, not the end all. I'm gonna go with using these yellow patterns as my bases instead of the blue, since the way that I cut mine was an error. So that all being said, I'm gonna ink up my edges and commit, okay? Please show how you would do it if you did not mess up. Yes, okay. So if I had not messed up, it just simply would have been that we would have had 2 blue full pages as our bases for these. So we're gonna have to figure out this video somehow. For the recorded people watching it, we'll make a note so that something comes up on the screen to show you. Bottom line is, my error was this. On this bottom half of the pocket, I should not have used the one with the blue back. I should have used the top piece here that has the yellow. So on this pocket piece, you can insert your full blue pattern paper up here, and your bottom piece here should be one of the panels from the paper that has the yellow hexagon on the back. Okay, so watching in replay, that's what you want to do, is take this piece with the yellow background to put it on here, so that you then have 2 full pieces of blue over here. So I don't know, I mean, I can go grab an extra piece of blue to do my example so it doesn't mess everybody up for the video moving forward, but it's gonna mess up the people that are doing their example now and have already committed. So I'm not sure which way to go on this. Do I even have more paper sitting around here? Okay. This is what I'll do. I'm just gonna do 1 and 1. So at least this one will be correct. And then the other one won't be. So I'm sorry, I goofed. I know that's going to become a mess. But hopefully that makes some sense to somebody somewhere. Okay, so now I'm confused. All my paper is all over the place. I will use my rainforest on the blue. So in theory, if you didn't goof, you have 2 rainforesty papers. And if you goofed, you have one as a yellow. And again, hopefully nobody's ever going to be the wiser because nobody really knows what the original one was. Always fun to do things live, right? I'm telling you, in the future, I think I've come up with a solution. I should do pre-recorded videos for all. So if I do the recorded video and then I goof, I can totally correct it before I make a mess for everybody. So I'm putting on the blue piece that I had over here. If you have your other piece of blue, you're going to put it onto the next sheet. So the blue that I've added is on the back side of the pocket. And this is a single-sided single-sided sheet. Okay. So those are my 2, and then I am going to just put on 2 vertical 3x4s. You could do them at an angle, you could do them 90 degrees, totally up to you. I'm going to kind of just do something along those lines so that I have space on the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to put this little journaling card so that it has a decent amount of space on it. I thought that it might be nice to actually document something, so I wanted to kind of give it a decent amount of space so that I can write in details of whatever my photo subjects are. Oh, where did you come from? Okay. Ooh. Oh, people, I'm really making a mess. I have none of my game here. I'm glue dripping, pulling glue. Okay, and then these we're going to put horizontally. And I'm going to just kind of position them something along those lines, okay? So we're covering most of that anyway. I'll put that off to the side here a little bit. And then I'll put my tag up top. And we are going to pull a few more little pieces. I'm going to do that. I leave it so like I don't put glue so that I'll be able to put my photo in later. Oh, Marianne got saved. She was 1 step behind, so she didn't make the mess I did, but that's okay. Is there really any mistakes in scrapbooking, or is it just we adjust? We adjust. No harm, no foul. It's really not, well, I mean, it is a mistake, but yet it's not going to be life or death. We did not do open heart surgery, so we're kind of lucky that there really is not any major problem here. So I'm looking for this tag and another one of these little bits for this, depending on if you glued it or not. You know, you could just cut it if you need, because it's not going to stick out quite as far. So I am going to stop turning. I'm putting the adhesive on the side that's going to be on that library card. And then I'll put this right on top of all that. So that all kind of pops, okay? Yeah, stop turning the glue upside down. We do pivot, Kimberly. We do pivot. It's all about pivoting. So again, if you didn't make the error I made, this would be the same glue. No harm, no foul. I'm gonna move on and get over it. So this is my pocket page that I'm gonna put in. Facing forward is the pocket, then that is my back side. Next page is this one, and on the back side, we are going to do, and I don't know if you like doing 2 pages at once or if it's easier to do 1 at a time. But why not? So a single-sided paper, we're looking for blue, and now see, this is where I go awry, is when I start flipping pages upside down and whatnot. This is the solid blue with the florals on the bottom left, as well as then again that half page blue over there. And I went heavy on this style of paper. I just thought it was really pretty with the flowers. You know, I think it's going to be a gorgeous summer album. that we are in the wildflowers outside in nature. My brother and sister-in-law always have these beautiful family photo shoots, and I think that their photos will be perfect for this. My kids don't like to smile anymore, so trying to get photos of them is like impossible at this age, but that's okay. I'm trying not to be upset about it. For this, we're going to take one 3x4 as well as these 2 journaling cards. You can size your photos to match between. I love the diagonal stripes, so that's just always fun to play with. So kind of just giving a look at those, which I will put down the pieces so that you can see. Okay. Putting that down. Again, I can always go and add more adhesive later. Makes it easier if I want to pull things up and down. A little contrast. Do a little stamping around the edges. That would be fun. Pop that in. I like not a 90-degree angle. I like a little off center. Okay, so that's a look at that page. And then this one. Super easy on these two. And to see, and the other reason I like doing it in this order of just taking the ephemera, the base papers, it's like this way it's not too overwhelming with too many pieces. The minute we bust into those laser cuts, it's like things are just everywhere. So for me, it's a whole lot easier just to kind of lay the groundwork, get the base going. So this way we have an easier time later. So I'm going to take that next page, put it into my binder, and then I'm just going to flip this one back over. And again, that last piece of the blue with the blue florals. And I didn't forget to do my little trimming. So you can always do the trimming now. You can do it later. That's fine. Not sure if you're keeping up with it or not. But you can always go back also once all your elements are in place and do that if you're going to do that, paring back the pieces a little bit. Okay. So I position this guy. And a 3.5, or I'm sorry, a 5 by 3.5, because it would be vertical. And if your hands aren't blue like mine, you can also, right, you can ink your photos with the blue as well. I haven't really done that before, so we'll do it now. Okay. And I'm just going to put it right there. Very easy. I will grab out this large tag. You could cut if you want to. Why not? I didn't do it in my sample, but why not? Just because it's such a big piece to just have a little bit sticking out the top. Just going to kind of put that like that. Maybe I'll do a little off the bottom here. So that is a little different than for my example. And again, I'm totally fine with that, but I can do that coming off the top and the bottom, just so it gives it a little something extra. Okay. So that is that next, or the back side of that page. So that's the back, so I put it in. Next, we're gonna take the small flippy floppy thing, and for this one, I did keep the flap together. I used the cardstock ticket piece along with, I'm like looking at all my pieces. That's the right size, that's that size. So it was these two. This is, what is that, 2.25 inches wide. That's a little shy of 2 inches. And we are going to put, on the inside, I left it pretty basic. I just kind of put pattern paper as a mat for what could be 2 4x6 photos. So this is the back side of the cover sheet, the collection cover sheet. So I am, again, just tidying up for 1 second. I cut it into 2 4x6s, but you will note, or I'll note for you, the 4x6 on the left-hand side is going to be totally fine with the way that the score is. The way this one worked with the holes in the book and stuff, it is slightly less. So I can make that 4x6 work if I want, but if I want to keep the border consistent on the outside edge, I'm just going to trim 1/8 of an inch off one of these pieces. So I'm just noting that so that way you can see that it is just slightly different on that right-hand side. So we'll do that. So again, that's the cover sheet, the back of the cover sheet. One piece is 4x6 and one is just slightly smaller at that, what would it be? 3 7/8. So that also when you're cutting your photo, you might want to play with the sizing a little bit there if you're keeping it all consistent. And pretty much nobody else is going to really be the wiser that you cut that little bit off, but it will visually make it more appealing, in my opinion, to leave that white border around. So I'm trying to do my spacing on top to bottom the same. My glasses keep sliding down my nose. I have to have them readjusted, but at least I can see. At least I can see. I'm not complaining about not seeing. This is very exciting stuff for me. Okay, so on the front, I'm going to take that fun taggy piece, envelope, whatever this is, put it in the middle. I could also, I think I will, just because it'll make me happy, is ink up some of those edges so it's not so much of the white space. And then for this, I used, was it a 3x4? Yep, a 3x4 photo. Oh, yeah. I think I have really abused this dabber topper and probably should be changing it, but that's all right. Okay, we put the photo in the middle. Maybe I'll leave it a little bit further down just so I have the tickets and whatnot up at the top. All right, how's everybody doing? Doing all right? There's no time constraints. This is always nice. I mean, not that you guys probably want to be here for 10 years, but we will get through the bases of all of this, and then we can go through all the details that you will be able to pull together and finish up your album. So that's a look at the front, and then the flip on the inside. Then on the back side, ironically enough, or maybe it wasn't ironically enough, now I'm looking for my pieces. Is it this one? It is this one. We're going to take this piece, so this is what, 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and basically we're going to do the same thing that we did before, except we're going to really kind of just go inside edge, top edge, and then we'll wind up trimming off the excess that's on the back. So to do that, I think I am going to put my adhesive kind of like so, which actually maybe I'll put it along the bottom. Well, actually I'll do it these edges. If I do it here, because I'm going edge to edge, and then I can put a little in the middle. All right, so I'm kind of, any excess you have, it's going to be fine because you can just trim around it accordingly. So I'm just going to put that on there. Make sure I don't wind up cutting there. I'm a little over here. I probably might just kind of burnish that in slightly there, and then I can obviously go and ink the edges as well. I can take my craft knife and slice the excess right off. Okay. Then you can sand if you want. You can ink if you want. You can do both. Ooh, that's kind of fun. I guess I didn't have my adhesive, so I might leave that like that. I could obviously always go back and redo that if I wanted to, but I kind of like it a little torn and tattered. Torn and tattered. Okay. I will punch my holes in here, which I will cheat and use my handy dandy little one, but you can obviously just follow the holes that were already on the page. So that is super easy. So the front, I flip it this way. My text is facing the correct way. And then I used a 3x4 inch photo. Oh my goodness, I am just making a mess. All right. Everybody's hanging on, everybody's hanging in. Just gonna put that in the middle. Okay. Easy peasy, all right? So again, front, the inside, and then the back, I drop that into my binder. We then have the triple, which I don't know if you can see that there. So you have your 2 up top and the 2 on the bottom. And this one should have been the bottom half of the yellow. Where am I? Where was my? So that 4x6 inch piece. So this should have been your yellow. I'm going to use this one just because this is what I have, but it would have been the other bottom half of the one that we cut incorrectly. So I am going to just drop that in here, make it easy. Again, I would have 2 3x4 inch photos. This would be the yellow instead of the blue, neither here nor there. I drop that into my binder, okay? And I will walk through the binder after we get through all these pages. So we're nearing, we still have a lot. We have a lot of pages, but it's all good. So we go again with a single flat page, and this will be the, so we have the florals. We're gonna actually use it, so it's kind of like a bit of a wood green with a little text pattern in the middle. Love that. Beautiful paper, all beautiful papers, but kind of went with that basic background for this one. So again, love my rainforest. I love rainforest. Love all the colors, but rainforest with this collection is just beautiful. So I go and I put that on the single flat side. Okay. And for this, see, now I'm flipping over my other page. Okay, it is definitely this one because I confirmed, because I cheated and lifted up my piece. We're going to take the top half, and I'll show you which piece I want. I'm going to take this one, which has the flowers here, and I'm just turning it. I'm going to use that as a mat. So the doily is on the top right hand corner. I'm going to make sure we give it that extra contrast. Really pick up that blue, teal, and then we will use a 3.5 by 5 inch photo. And so it was basically when I was making the album and I realized that I had this extra 4x6 piece, I said, well, why not? We'll use that as a layer. And this way, kind of just adds a little pizzazz to that background paper. Okay, so I put that in like that. I'm going to take this very large brown ticket, top to bottom, always fun. We'll have this sticking out. And I'm gonna kind of do something along those lines. A little bit of adhesive. Doesn't need much. I will tuck it under there at a slight angle and then put my photo, so it kind of overlaps a little so we see that doily. Okay. So that's a look at that page. Sharon is on it. Yes. So that is slightly different, so we're gonna have to make notes of all these edits that we have. So this is the front of that next page. I don't even know what page number we're up to, but that's hopefully okay. On the back side, we are doing the ticket paper. It's a ticket, full tickets. There we go. I love this. Who doesn't love this paper? We're gonna do that ticket paper, the large yellow, and a 4x6. Again, I don't know what it is. I guess when I go with the heavier pattern papers, I tend to go with that larger photo. So this is the 4x6 photo with the ticket paper. And I will say on my example, I actually used the daffodil ink on this as well. But I figured, all right, let me not drive everybody crazy by doing too many colors, but you can really have a good time with the inks and the coordinating colors and to make it your own if you so choose. Oh, I need a new little topper here. My topper is just seeing some better days. It has gotten eaten up by all my paper edging. So now let me just get a little extra. Okay. Oh. Beautiful. Okay. We're also going to use one of our tags that we cut from that packaging. So we have a 4x6 photo, a tag, paper, and another brown ticket, okay? And for this, I think I'm gonna just sand a little bit, give that worn look that way, because it's nice and dark, okay? So first I'll adhere my paper onto the base. This is the ticket paper that has the green back. Okay, I'll put photo in the center. Slide this large tag. And then I kind of just put these off to the side, fill in that like gap over there so that they're kind of staggered a bit. Maybe stick that one out a little. And then my tag, which needs a little inking. All right, how is everybody doing? This is one of your favorite pages. I love, it's one of my favorite papers, yes. I will have to tell you, I think it's the well, there's one coming up, my next double page, there's a double page spread that is my absolute favorite for this album project, but we're all entitled to our opinions. But I'm glad that you like it, that's all that matters. I'm gonna kind of stick that, kind of like that. And again, just going with those little layers. So really no harm, no foul, no rhyme or reason, just a little bit of variety for you. And again, those papers that were so similar, I'm sitting here like checking everything twice, which now, okay. So that is our next page. I'm gonna stick it in. Next, I added in the double pocket page, and we have, yes, okay, this is correct. This is actually what I did. Again, yellow, the 4x6s or the 6x4s with the yellow pattern. So that's just gonna go in the top and the back. And there was basically, I mean, you could keep adding. I mean, this is one of those projects that if you had another pack of laser cuts, you have the rub-ons, you had any extra bits and pieces, you have the chipboard titles, you can totally add to this project. I did maximize and use as many pieces as I possibly could have. You will have some leftover puffies, but I could tell you the laser cuts, they're gone, they're spoken for. So on the back of this, I just kind of left this as is, would put two 6x4 photos on top to cover that, or you could obviously go smaller and use the pattern paper on that. So I'm just gonna put that as my next page in the album. Take a sip of my drink. A flat page next. flat page, and this is one of those cream ones that has the half florals on the bottom, the half at the top over here, okay? Okay, and on this, I'm just gonna mat that on, and then we'll pull some of our tickets and our pieces. So, okay, up there. We'll take a 3.5 by 5.5. Hopefully you guys have prepped your little photo mats or placement holders, or maybe you even have your photos. I don't know if you're that organized. I would love to be that organized. I'm never that organized to have photos for the projects when I'm making samples, so that is why I go with my tried and true, stick my white cardstock placeholder in place. So that is a 5 by 3.5. And then we will pull a few of our tickets. I've kind of kept this somewhat organized, my little pile. Kind of impressed by myself actually, because it was manageable, I think. We're pulling that one. This one. And a large label. So those three. So again, you can ink, you can tear, whatever you like. I'm a fan of using my fingernails, not that that's necessarily good, but kind of roughens up the edges a little bit. So we'll position these in, just kind of tucking them here and there, playing off that paper and the top line up there with those other tickets. And then I'll put this along the bottom. Maybe I'll go over the photo. How about that? Kind of do one of those. Okay. Easy. Easy peasy. Ooh, the next two. These are my favorites. I don't know why. They're just my favorites, and I'm going to do them together just because. I liked the texture of these. I liked what we achieved. So that's a look at the next page. And then I'm going to flip them like so. This, we're going to look for the full floral page and then a green page. So this is the back of the tickets. You can certainly flip and flop your papers if you would like to do a different look at it. I will say this one being so dark, and with the two ink colors that I had working on, I just didn't love that with the dark. So I'm gonna just sand up those edges to give it that warm look. I'm gonna actually like kind of, I don't know if you can see that, like I want like an inside little edge. And again, just playing out that tatteredness to it. So I kind of just do one of those things for that paper. So I'm going to put these down just so they're taken care of. And at least we're getting through our stack of bits and pieces. So this is that new, this is the right hand side. It's the new sheet, the new flat sheet. And then on the left here, I'm just going to ink. And I love this, the small little daisies. Very pretty. Very, very pretty. Are they daisies? I think so. I'm very bad at flower names. Okay. And okay, so those are the two pages that face each other. And then I'm going to be taking my very large yellow tag, my other large yellow tag, my, what does this say, advertising department piece of paper. We're going to, we'll have some other bits and pieces, but we'll do this first. One will use a 4x6 photo on this side and a 3.5 by 5 on the other, but neither here nor there with the sizing. For now, oh, I keep doing that. I gotta pay attention to my little inking. Okay. All right, so just kind of preparing this. So as you'll note, the size of these two ephemera are rather large. You could do many different things, quite honestly. You could cut it, you can position it, you can layer it with your pieces so that you wouldn't even know. I'm gonna, again, do my little crumple action. And for this one, I am going to take my little sanding little nail file thing. See, I ripped it, which is totally fine, because if I didn't rip it, I would have tried to rip it, or I would have made sure I ripped it. But you can kind of see how just fun it is to get in those cracks. Hopefully you have like some kind of distressy nail file thing on the side there. You can always go on your edges. So I actually got the tear up here this time, totally fine. You could go a tear on the bottom. You could go a tear on the side, wherever you want. You can kind of, if you want to pull back the opening that you might have created, you can ink those edges if you like. You could leave it white, totally up to you. I'm going to kind of do a little of everything and just mix and match. So this way, when I put it on here, and again, I'm just going to kind of like crinkle it on purpose because I want to shorten it anyway, and it will give it that cool effect. So I'm kind of just dragging the tape runner so that I get kind of this little torn look. So again, if let's say I didn't put any down here and I just wanted a little more, okay, great. Just add, ooh, what did I knock over? Add that in, and then when you smush it, you'll see all those textures and those little bits and pieces. Oh, I'm breaking my thing. Okay. Isn't that just fun? I don't know why that makes me happy. This is my favorite double page spread, and I don't know why. It just, again, brings me joy. You can put little extra tears in the pieces if you want. Just gives it that whole worn look. I used a 4x6 photo in the middle. Okay. And on our other page, kind of did the same thing, except this this piece was a cardstock. I didn't bother doing my whole wrinkle. I'm gonna ink those edges so that it's gonna blend. And then I can also take, you know, a nail file, a distress tool, or whatever, and kind of give it a little bit of a little tear or whatnot to it as well. And then I'll go back and cut those edges. And this also being so high, I did what I did on the first one. Just giving it that sanding. Ooh, I got a nice little hole in the middle, and I like it. I don't know if we're going to wind up seeing it when we cover everything, but we'll see. Never know what you're going to get when you do this, which is kind of fun, isn't it? All right. Okay. So I'm going to play with all that. Okay. And I'll put this one on top. So we're going to have our photo. That's the 3.5 by 5. We're looking for a few more pieces. I'm going to take one of our handy dandy. I mean, these things came in clutch, did they not? It's awesome having just that extra little layer and color that blends with the collection. So I love these. I think that was an awesome little bonus. Just tie a little string here. So I'm going to grab one of those. I'm grabbing, oh, we're getting down to the last nitty gritties on these labels. I love it. I'm telling you, I don't think there was much left. We're going to look for that yellow, whatever to get, a medium one of these, and that is all, okay? So I will position my photo in place so I know where I'm going. this, kind of hide that. Get it all up. We have all these beautiful shades of yellow, so it works really well. But you can just mix and match everything. And then we'll put that there. Okay. Get the other one. All right, so this is my personal favorite. I don't know why, and maybe it's like when you see the end result, you'll like it too. All right, so this was our page that we created on the front. We have the back side. I'll put that into my binder. And then we have the back side of this one is back to our florals. So we have the blue base with the opening at the top. So we'll use this one. And I think I'll make sure that I go back and just lift a few of my petals. I always like my petal lifting. Okay. And I'm really just doing that outer edge of the petals. And I gotta remember which ones I cut, right? Because I didn't pull them back as I was doing it. What do we have here? 3x4 photo, easy. This is where we started getting a little bit less on the layers, so that's okay. We're gonna use everything. We're gonna make our laser cuts work for us, so I'm just kind of putting a 3x4 right in the middle over here. I am leaving it so the florals pop out, and I don't know why I didn't put that on my paper first, but that's okay. Alrighty. Oops, did I guess keep a little bit of that. Okay, so this was the page from before with the distressing edges. And then we have the flip side with our little paper curling pages. And again, you can always go back and add more if you like on your curling of your florals. Next is single side and the tickets, the beautiful, beautiful tickets. So I'm gonna go with that warm look. I did, and this is where I really started getting creative. So now, of course, because we did it this way, instead of sometimes when I'm making it, obviously I'm kind of going full steam ahead with everything in front of me. So what I did here, because again, it was a waste not, want not situation, and I didn't have a whole lot of extra to work with in terms of papers because I didn't want to add anything else to it. I used the back of the puppy stickers. So I'm going to have you open the puppy stickers. We're not going to use them just yet, but we are going to take out the packaging card. So again, packaging card being beautiful. It is a bit of that shiny luster. Most packaging is just easier to do with that shiny backing, even though it's not my favorite. This is 6 inches wide, so we're going to cut 8 inches up because we are going to use this for our single pocket page later. So that's going to be the paper, and since we're already having it in the plastic sleeve, I figured who cares if it's a little bit shiny. So that will be the paper that we use inside of that as the last page of the album. But then we also have this extra little piece here. So you can trim that to 4x6 as well. So that 4x6 is going to bring you just under the fold. So we'll use that as the base for our, or the mat, I should say, I'm sorry, a mat for a 3.5 by 5 inch photo. So this I'm gonna toss, but that's just the packaging. If you wanna break up the shiny, you can certainly go and ink up your edges. It won't soak in so much. You could kind of take, you know, a distressor sander, I have one on here. You could do that, break up the coating that's on it, and then kind of ink in those edges to just give it a little bit more contrast. I think I probably could have played off of that rainforest, which is deeper, but that's okay. We'll just kind of do something along those lines, and I will hopefully not make a mess later if I wipe that up right now. Okay, so okay, I'm going to put that in the center. Janene is sold on the flower cutting. Thank you. I see. I'm glad you gave it a try. And you don't have to do it for every page, but I think it makes such a difference. I do. I am a firm believer. I learned this from a lot of designers a lot of years ago. One in particular, Gabrielle Polacco, many, many years ago. Every project she did, everything came down to details. And when you see details, I just think it matters. I think it matters in our products. I think it matters in our designs. I think little things like inking edges, lifting little corners, tattering it up, all those things, in my opinion, just make a project go from great to fabulous. And that's why we do what we do, or what I do. I don't know, I do what I do. Well, I don't really have many more tags left. Tickets, so it's possible I used the wrong one somewhere, but this is certainly close enough as it's yellow. So whether you have this one or one that looks kind of similar, who really cares? All the same. I'm gonna just ink those, and again, kind of just layer up the pieces, playing off the tags, breaking up those layers. Really no rhyme or reason here, just little bits and pieces, okay? Kind of a like, well, this is what was left, this is what we're going with. We'll use some of the other pieces to fill in some of those gaps later. So that is a look at that page. And then on the back of that, we're gonna go with one of these awesome wood grain. This is the back of that burlap. This is the one we had used on the front cover. So I'm really going to ink up the edges on this, and I'm going to show you why, because I thought this was fun too. I love the worn wood look. I love the coloring in this, and I love how we can make it look even more realistic. And I'm going to take a little craft knife and just, I don't know, one or two on a side is really all that matters. I'm just kind of like dig in, like just a little crevice on that corner, or the plank kind of a piece, and then I'm gonna really get in there with my ink and kind of give it that little pulled back look. Again, minor little detail, but just something to kind of make it look like those planks really are coming on. I don't know what the right word is. Like it makes it look more natural, in my opinion. Like so that it looks like the pieces are there, not like it's a final edge. Does that make sense? I'll do a few. Okay, once I start, it's like, oh, I don't want to stop. I just want to keep doing more. But I do like it. And again, it's just a little notch and then a little bit more inking and pulling that little edge right there. Okay? So that when I go and I put this on that white, it's gonna just, if you can get it without making a mess. Oh, you're not very centered. Okay. Yeah. I want to give it a good inking. Okay. So then you could just see how those little planks kind of come out. I liked it. I don't know. You guys can think I'm crazy. All right, a 4x6 photo. Because again, just going with that solid pattern, easy to give that larger photo room to shine. Debbie says it looks absolutely gorgeous. Well, thank you. I hope yours is as well. I hope everyone is enjoying. I think, again, just this collection. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I did use this large, and large is what, 2 1/4, I'm sorry, 1 3/8 wide by 2 1/4 high. Okay, I'm just gonna put that. I'll stick that off to the side over here. And I do it like that. Oop, got a little glue there. Put that there. Okay. Easy, easy, easy. Getting there. We only have 2 base papers left. So this one, again, this was the tickets on the front, the wood planks on the back. I'm going to put that into my binder. I then have a pocket page left. Once again, I did use the entire piece, and yes, this is the correct one this time, but I'm going to use that floral pattern. You could use the dark side if you wanted to, totally up to you, which you want to use. And then for me, I have this panel left, so whichever one of those you had left will be wonderful. So in all, once you've done this, oh good, I'm like, whew, I got a little nervous there. You should, I'm pointing it out to you. You have 2 pieces of paper left after we're gonna adhere this down. We're gonna be using this one next with the panel, and then this one, which has the pale wood with the text in the middle, we're gonna use this for our cover. So you can put this off to the side for your cover. But that's basically the papers that you have left, just to point out. So if you followed my mistake, it's not the end all. It was just that one little paper. Nothing else got messed up along the way. And if you were able to salvage yours, then great, wonderful. And yours will look like the example. And mine will be unique. Okay. So, again, if you wanted to cut this 4x6, you certainly could do so. If you wanted to be a little more frugal with your paper, which is never a bad thing. I'm just gonna line it in there. And then I go here with, whoop, ooh. Okay. So that's the front of the pocket. Very easy. Again, you'll fill it with whatever memorabilia you want, okay? On the back side, we're going to be using this. I used a 3.5 by 5 inch vertically on this one. So when I did this, I noticed that it would be cute if I popped that little bottom of the flower up over my photo. So before I adhere it to the base of my paper, I am trying to put a lot of pressure there so that I cut all the way through. I can ink, curl, do whatever I like. And that way when I add my photo, it'll pop over. Okay, so I will ink all my edges. This color, look how beautiful with it, like coloring in the top over there. I love it. Love it, love it. Okay. I'm going to put that down. I don't bother putting any adhesive in the middle. I feel like it's going to stay. I'll then shimmy that in like so. Am I even? No, I'm not. And then what do we have left? What do we have left? Do we have anything? We have a rectangle and we have a ticket, a tan ticket, the 3944. Oh, there's a few. For some reason, I don't know why. I didn't really use the yellow ones of these. Ooh, my thingy almost went off. So let's see. I wound up, oh, that's what it was, and another tag. So we have another tag. which I'm going to wind up covering up a little bit, but I guess I'll take this one because that's what I have left. Okay, so you guys are hanging in, you're holding out for me, you're still with me here. My troopers, you know, people watching replay, you definitely can pause and come and go as you please. So I'm going to kind of just like fill up the space over here with my bits and pieces. I'm leaving kind of a large gap here. I'll put this behind it. All about those little layers. I'm going to kind of fill this up over there. Okay. Awesome. So this is the pocket. Then we have the back side. So this once again goes into our album. Last but not least is our full page pocket page. For this, I went with a 4x6 right in the middle. And had nothing to spare really. I didn't bother with anything there. On the back side, I went with 2 of the 5x3.5. So I guess because I have all these 3x4s, I'm assuming that these I did plan and cut out for the smaller page protectors that I didn't wind up filling, so we can certainly go and put those back in later. But basically accounting for 2 5x3.5-inch photos for this back side. So basically I was trying to cover up the majority of that paper, as pretty as it is. You know, this way we didn't have too much shine from it. So I kind of put one like this. And one a little staggered on top like that. Okay, and that's because I do have a title going on the bottom. So I left some room here for one of the puppy stickers. So I'm not going to bother you in putting this in and out right now. I will bring this back to kind of do one walkthrough of the pages for you, and then we'll give you a walkthrough of all the other stuff. So what did I have left? I had 8 of those. I guess I didn't really have many pieces. So there's a few little bits and bloops that are left from the ephemera. You should only have that 1 sheet of cardstock remaining for the front cover. And then you had a few extra 3x4s to fill in your pockets. So not a lot of extra pieces. We've kind of kept that somewhat organized. So I'm going to do a walkthrough of these pages before I go and show you the final. Maybe we'll also just take a look, or we'll figure out if there's some pages that we want to go through. I always find once we start getting into laser cuts and all the little pieces like that, the hardest part is trying to find them. So in doing the class like that, it becomes a little difficult. Whereas you have the photos in your directions that have the different pieces, as well as the finished example. We can go ahead and get your retailers the individual images so that you can make them larger if need be. Okay, so everybody can see this, right? And maybe, I'm like, do I even try to make this zoomed in? I did this before. Oh, there we go. Let's see how that worked. Did I zoom in well or not well? Oh, too much. Okay. Now I'm trying to take it back. Did I? Let's see. Okay. Kind of good. I'm trying to see if I need to. Okay. All right. So inside front cover, we had our lovely cluster. We then had the single sheet paper, our self-made page. And again, I'm just giving this walkthrough relatively quickly, but this way if you need to pause on anything, you can certainly do so. This is a look at the pages that we did so far. Okay, and again, I will go back and put those reinforcements in, but this is a look at the pages. This would be my 3x4-inch photos, you know, so we could go ahead and fill all those. I'll spare you for the moment so that I'm not sitting here saying if I cut well or not, but that's the 4 pocket page. We then have the pocket that I had the wrong piece here to then have the wrong piece there. Yours hopefully has this as the blue piece of paper. If not, this is lovely too, and it's gonna be just fine. Okay, so we have those 2 pages. We have the flowers. I forgot to curl back my flowers here, so I will certainly do that later, which you can do. You don't have to do it at the time that you were making them. We have our back page, we have our flip with the page that we had created using one of our ephemera. This also was the triple pockets, so you have the 2 pockets up at the top. I apparently really am not very good at cutting 3x4s because they're a little tight, but they'll work. Okay, so we put those in. Oh yeah, I really, why'd I even bother, right? Okay, so it's the 3x4s, the pale wood tickets, the double pocket, some more flowers, my favorite page with all the lovely little layers and distressing, tickets, another pocket, and then we have our full pocket page at the back, which I just didn't put in. Okay, so that is a look at those pages. I am then going to see how we want to go about this. I'm going to show you the finished album, and if you think that I need to go and walk through any individual pages, you can let me know. Again, I just find that once we start pulling out all of those laser cuts in a class, it winds up just being very hard to follow along in any normal timeline at this moment. So the images are on your pieces. So hopefully that's okay with everybody. I'm not hearing a lot of comments, so I don't know if that works for you. So this is a look at the finished example. In your directions, again, you have the various pieces that got pulled for these pages on that front cover, and maybe, I mean, we can certainly do some of these pages if you like, but I used that cardstock and I would ink the edges up. I positioned it so that I had an even border on the top, bottom, and the right-hand side. It allowed for space up here, which I then used that large laser cut. I did add some foam here, so that way I could play off the dimension of the flowers, tucking them under, behind, and over. This little cluster kind of filling out over here, and then having this lovely little beehive-y piece up here kind of bridges the gap and closes off the seam from the paper. So that is how I did the front cover. Any questions with that? Okay, everybody's good. So we have the instructions and we'll do the walkthrough. Yes, so I will thoroughly walk through this, not just the preview that we had done the other day, but this way I can explain to you the different pieces and whatnot. So basically you have your 4 pages, or 4 pages, it's 2 pages, there's 6 of laser cuts. So you have the 4 6x12 panels. You have your floral sheet, and then you have all these other elements, all these little bits and pieces. I really don't think there was something I didn't use in all of this, and I will point out how fun this fence could be. So we will do that, and then you also have all of the lovely puffy stickers. The puffy stickers, you definitely will have extras because all of these little inner pieces of the hexagons were not accounted for on your piece count, but they make for amazing texture that you can create your own patterns throughout. So I think that you'll find that we're taking those pages that we just assembled and making it, now here's the wow factor. Like here's the exciting part with all of our bits and pieces. So once again, on that front and side cover, we had a lot of room to play with the dimension. So I used a lot of foam behind. I think I even, look, you can see I used two or three foam dots behind the flowers over here. You do want to be careful with your cover, like if, you know, your pages, if you were to be turning and whatever, so you do want to make sure that you secure them properly, like all like your loose little bits and pieces. So I just prefaced that, but basically the beautiful florals kind of complementing and accenting. I used this large floral stem to close off the seam between those 2 papers. If you recall, we had the edge there. Here I didn't even bother on the bottom. I didn't think it was that noticeable, so I didn't bother doing anything. You could certainly take your hexagon and put it over here instead if you didn't want to do it in the corner and you wanted to close off that seam. So from the puffy stickers, we have the little bumblebee hexagon up here. We have the beautiful. I did keep those inner pieces. You're going to want to keep those inner letters for later. That was a fun little trick. And this little hexagon-y bit was just totally also an extra. In these larger clusters, there's 3 of the yellow clusters. There is this little chevron-y little extra piece that is created. So I thought, well, isn't that fun? Who doesn't love the little arrowy thing to go on? So you can do that with both the brown and the yellow. So that's where I popped that, and that way it was just the yellow moving around the eyes. So any questions on that inside cover? Yes, Wayne, we try, you're always trying to get better with directions and everything, and that's why we wanted to make sure that we had images that showed the pieces and then showed the final. And once again, I will send all of our retailers the individual images, so if for some reason you needed to make something larger, you could do so. Obviously, customers who have a digital copy of the directions, you can certainly zoom in on any of these pictures. I think we did a decent job with showing it. I will edit my 2 measurements there. I don't know if anybody caught me on anything else that I goofed on. If so, certainly please feel free to let me know before I finally edit those. But we'll give the link and all the updated information in the next day or 2. Okay, so the next little bitty page over here, which was a lot of fun. And again, you'll see how your page goes from blah to way more exciting. So like if this is my page, we now put in our laser cuts and our bits and pieces, and it makes such a difference. So this fence, could not be happier. Love it, love it, love it. I'm making a mess, but that's okay. So for the fence, there are going to be some pieces that we wanted to use the whole top to bottom piece. I think that was somewhere later on. But for this, I said, you know what, I didn't want to take up too much space on my photo. So we're going to maximize this. So if you cut this at what is probably about 4 inches, so I'm just going to do it here. I'm going to see. Okay, so that's the width of the tag. It's about 4, is it 4 inches? No, it's just shy of 4 inches, because again, this was a 3.5 inch photo, so it's just shy of the 4 inches. But if I did this, it would just be taking up possibly too much. So instead, I'm trimming this in half. So now for this piece, great. This was actually this top half. So you can see how easy that is. I'm keeping this, and you'll see that doesn't look as fun because it looks a little bit more harsh, but we will just clip some of those ends when we use it the next time. So for this piece, I just took that, cut it in half, and put it there. Again, I lifted a little bit. I tried these outer edge here, gave me a little bit of room with dimension because I had room to play there. But you do want to make sure that as you're building your book, you're paying attention to the height of it all, because you do want your pages to lie within that D-ring flat shaped binder mechanism. So that is just something to point out as you're going. I did play a little bit, but not too much. So, and I don't know if it's easy to look at the 2 next to each other. Is that even showing on the 2 next to each other? I've got to refresh my screen because I don't always see, because I'm trying to pay attention to comments. Okay, so yeah, is it more confusing to see 2 side by side, or should I just show the finished one? Anybody want to comment on that one? I don't know if it's more confusing to see it this way. I'm gonna move this aside for now. Okay, so that we used on the front. On this inside panel over here, again, taking that little single topper of a flower, our little bits, we have our little green hexagons. And on this, I just took 5 of these little planks. And again, your pieces, we can mix and match and piece them together. But I kind of just took my scissor and angled little irregular tops. You know, you can leave some flat, you could do both sides, you could do single. Doesn't really make a difference how you want to do this. But basically giving it that irregularity of the natural way in which this fence could have been put together. So that's how that like little piece is just over here. So that's what we did with the bottom half of the fence. Oh, I'm getting parched. Too much talking. This is where I'm going to start to tap out, but we're going to get through this. We're going to show you all these pages. If anybody has any questions as I am doing this, please certainly do not hesitate to ask. This for the people who are watching the live. If you are watching the replay, hopefully you can go back and figure it out if you need. Okay, so for this one, again, you know, we had kind of a plain page going on, but then we take those laser cuts and that's what makes it all come to life. So very easy to really make everything just shine. This was that black hexagon. That was a small piece of the black hexagons. And then I took those little inner bits from the laser cuts. These two I popped up with some foam, and these I just centered in between. And again, just sprinkling my little pieces here and there along the way to kind of balance out and move your eye around the page. Okay. On the back side, I did take a piece of the full fence because again, it kind of broke up that full floral pattern for me. So again, just sizing that out. If this is 6 inches, so figure that's like what, 5 3/4 wide, just leaving a little bit on the inside. So I use the full piece of that. You do like save all your bits and pieces because whether you have a little bit here, a little bit there, if for some reason when we're doing, well, I'll point it out later. Okay, so here on the flowers, I didn't concern myself about butting them up perfectly. I figured between the green on the back side of the laser cuts, it didn't really matter if there was a little overflow because it kind of just looked like the continued stem or the greens within the florals. So, but I did add the 2 pieces there. You obviously want to be a little careful. I would adhere them with some glue there as they could be fragile, so you more want to be turning your page somewhere else other than up there. And I did also see how that kind of plays off of the next layer below when it's shut. So that's a look at that. We then had our lovely little peeled up flowers. We have our florals, the single one up here, the little stem, the triple. This was 2 pieces of the laser cut and there was a little gap here, so I closed the gap with the little honeycomb beehive thingy, and then I popped my little bee up here. And the reason I knew I could pop that up was because it's sticking out here, so it's not adding too much depth to the page. So that was a lot of fun. Okay. Anybody? Any questions? No questions yet. Alrighty. We then have this page. I don't know why. These swirls just made me smile and I thought it looked like the bee going. So I kind of positioned my bees at the end of the swirls, thinking that they had made all that fun little swirliness going on. So that is a look at that page. I then put the Hello Puffy sticker in the center of that label up there, the little arrowy thing, and just put some bits and pieces around. Really no rhyme or reason. You could obviously alter all of these embellishments as you go. We used the treasured word from the puffies. Again, I kept the inner piece here. So the inside letters will be used later. I did want to balance out the black from this a little bit by adding the hexagons up at the top. I would plan on putting in some black journaling here or maybe a rub-on title or something like that so that it kind of balances. We had our photos. I kind of left that basic. Here I used the Memories Puffy sticker and the hexagons. Again, factoring in whatever would go in my pockets, and then you could further embellish if you wanted to. This, which is the correct version of the 2 blue pages, you may have the blue, you may have the yellow, hopefully you have the blue, is a look with a lot of the puffies going on. This puffy sticker, I'm like this puffy sticker, it's, I shouldn't say it that way, I should say it, it was one of these, so which one was it? It's either this one or this one. I'm gonna go with this one. So I used this one. I trimmed the puffy sticker in half here so that I had the top part for over here with the bee, and I'm just noticing my bee's upside down. So maybe I did do it upside down, I don't know. You can fix that. And then I put the other piece coming off here. So, that's weird. So if you use this one, it would be correct. I'll just point that out. So if we use this one, your bee would be accurate. It would just look like that up there. And then you can flip your bottom piece here and then run it up that way. Okay. So really easy to cut these, to alter them to whatever space you need. I feel like I'm just dropping more stuff. And then we have the larger hexagon pieces, which is where that little chevron thing came out before. And I'm just kind of tucking and layering those pieces. I did even, because of the foam going on here, I'm sorry, the puffy sticker here, I did add a layer of foam underneath my honey jar, as well as on the sides of this laser cut, so that basically it lies over the hexagon with a little foam here and a little foam there. And then again, just layering my pieces, some puffy stickers, added little bits and pieces along the way. So beautiful, can't go wrong when you've got gorgeous elements to work with. This is the one that I said, oh no, I forgot in the directions to take the picture of the floral. So this is the floral that was used. It is kind of like a two-pronged, I don't know, two-stemmed one. So I cut one piece here, right? Easy, that's this piece along here. And then, oh yeah, I'm like, I know what I did. Then I cut the top half like this to go here. And then this bottom piece is here, and then I took a single little daisy, whatever that is, little toppy piece. Like where would one be? May not be this exact one. There's a few in here that they all look pretty similar, but a little top like that, so that I created that third piece here. So it's the one piece is those three together. I'll kind of just zoom in here a little, or hold that up closer. So that was the one floral with the two stems, and then a single little floral topper over here to go on the bottom of that. Okay, so that's a look at that page, since I did not, I forgot to take the photograph of that. Easy, just the two hexagons, the pulled back paper, and the watering can over here. Again, you could totally go back and embellish this further with more rub-ons and more embellishments. But little hexagons, the puffy, this is two pieces of the black puffy just next to each other. That was two of those smaller pieces, and again, just layering in some of those hexagons and the little bee's nut. What is this called? Honeycomb? Honeycomb, is that what it is? This page, a little bee, a little flower, or leaves. Keep finding my little schmutzes. I'll put photos here. Again, with the little bee and curls. This is two curls up here, you know, just kind of outlining it. You can play with the different pieces. I did put the blue puffy sticker right on top of the plastic, making that easy. It just kind of followed what the pattern had below it. Again, you might have the wrong one on that. Did I cut this? I don't know if I cut this or not. No, that looks like an individual piece. And again, you could put in a few of your little honeycombs and bees if you have at the end. If you have extras, you can always go back and add some more. So loved playing with the long stem here along that plain ticket. I thought that just popped really nice. I did use a little bit of foam on this so that it stood out. Put in my tan colored pieces, and then again use those inner pieces from the other cluster on the yellow just to kind of pop it a little bit, make it all blend. That's really up to you. Then laser cuts. This was a floral stem with a lovely little bow right on top. We put the two bows on the stems, even that out. Didn't do anything over here. I just thought that that was fun. I love the drips. Obviously, it depends probably on your photos whether those drips are going to work in that location for you or not. We have, oh, I don't think I cut that out of the paper, but that's okay. If our photo covered it, it's covered. And if you can get that pulled back from the paper, you can certainly do so. Just a little stem up here, a little honeycomb here, but otherwise that page was pretty much done for us already. These were my two favorites. And again, I don't know if it was the embellishments or if it was just the layers or the crinkles or whatever it is, but I had fun. I used those two blue floral laser cuts over here to pop. I did add, oh, there was a label. Okay, I forgot these before, but that's fine. We have one little label up here, and then this is again one of those stickers from the sticker sheet. And then this, we had our base done for us using a little swirl. I kind of dipped it below and above with a little lantern, the tools, little wheelbarrow and the stem coming out there. So I did add a little bit of foam to the bottom portion of the wheelbarrow. Since there was some layers built up here, it was easy to be able to lift the bottom up and then follow that with a little bit of foam behind the shovel here. So that, and then I rested it on the top. So that's just a look at that page. We then again had our little bits and pieces along here. If, depending on the way that you've cut your pieces or whatnot, let's just say you didn't have a full length left over, you can certainly take 2 smaller pieces or 3 smaller pieces or whatever it is, and you can put them, just line them up next to each other. So if you don't have the full length, doesn't really matter. You're just looking for the little halves that you can then line up and cut your edges accordingly. A little hexagon up here, lantern there. Here's where we had some space at the bottom, so I just wanted to put one of the puffy stickers, and again, just kind of balancing out that darker color with the 2 elements on the edges. Okay, any questions? Any questions? Going once, going twice. Waiting to see if anybody has questions. No questions yet? All right, we're gonna keep moving. Oh, I like this one too. So this way you put your ticket in, and so depending, I guess, on exactly how far over, how much space you had your little house, you can pop that up with some foam on the edge and then move it into your photo or not, depending on your exact placement. Again, with the laser cut floral, with, again, some little bits and pieces of our fence bottom along here with the raised up flower bed over here, and then the greens coming out. So I thought that that just looked really pretty. Hexagons here, you can put in your own bits and pieces. We use the clock over here. You could use it, or you could perhaps like the bits from your, whichever tag you use. You may or may not want to add the clock, but that's up to you. This was a little bit of a strip from the black thing. You like that? I'm done talking. Can anybody tell that I am completely shot in terms of speaking? I apologize if my words are making no sense anymore, but I wanted to balance the black. So this black treasure was that inner piece from treasured. So just to make it different and not too treasured, I did treasure. I will say that you probably want to put this down first so that you can then position this accordingly. It was a little tight down here to get it to fit. And then you could always go on top with your other puffy sticker. You could also put some of these pieces on top of your plastic. For example, you could take your honeycomb and put it on top of the plastic. I didn't, but you certainly could. But that's a fun little look at that. And then we had from the beginning, the Beautiful. So I took the BE, and then to make the E, because I was like, BU, why not? I don't know. It was like what letters were left. To make the E, I took the F, and then I cut a little piece from the I or the L or whatever it was to make the second E. So that was from those leftover little pieces. So just to point that out. And then again, the remaining piece of this was used just a little here and there. And you could have gone 3 and 3 and made it center. That was kind of like an afterthought after I had already done it, so I'm not really sure. Again, using my chevrons up here and then tucking in some pieces to separate those 2 photos and some little pieces. So that is a look at the album. I hope that you all have enjoyed it. I certainly encourage you to mix and match. I mean, you can't go wrong with all these laser cuts and the pieces and the gorgeous layers, and doing whatever's going to work for your photos. So I thank you for joining me. One more time, any questions? Any questions for those live people? Hopefully everybody enjoyed it, and can't wait to see what you guys did. Be sure to post and share with us on our fan page. We would love to see plenty more projects coming down the pipeline. So thank you. I thank you so much. And on that, I will bid you all a wonderful day. Take care. Thank you.